All right, so we're still looking at multiplication, and this time we're looking at the area model for multiplication. And here, the problem I want to illustrate is what is 1/5 times 1/3, and I'm viewing it again as an area. So 1/5 times 1/3. And I mentioned before when I do area, I like that to be base, base times height. So the 1/5 is my base, and my height is the 1/3. So here I'm setting up my base, and I have, basically I'm making a mark here and saying this whole strip here is 1/5 of that 1 unit this way. And then my 1 unit in this direction, this chunk up here is 1/3 of that 1. And then this purple box here where those two colors intersect is a region that is 1/5 by 1/3. Okay, so that purple region is my answer. I just got to figure out what the answer means. Well, what is a hole here? Well, a hole would be 1 by 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. So this whole thing is a hole, 1 by 1. My answer is just this little part right there. And I can see that there's a whole bunch of similar sized pieces in addition to that one. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 3 rows of 5 here, right? And so there's 15. So what this picture shows is that 1/5 times 1/3 is 1/15 of the whole. With me? Questions on that one? All right, so either you're muted and trying to talk or you have no questions. And the chat seems quiet at the moment. All right, let's try the next one. All right, so let's do another one. I'm gonna skip on down to part D. Yeah, so I'm gonna do part D with you, and then I'm gonna let you guys later do parts B, C, and E if we have some time at the end of class. So part D says 1.5 times 1/3. So I tried to make a little space between the 1.5, and I was just typing it on my keyboard there. So 1.5 times 1/3. And we're going to do that multiplication is area. And so I'm going to let the 1.5 be my base and the 1/3 be my height. So then I need kind of a grid to work with. So I'm just going to lay out a couple of perpendicular lines here. And then on those lines, I have to measure out what is 1. So let's say maybe that's going to be 1 right there. So another 1 would be out here. And I want 1.5 right there in the middle. I would like the 1 unit as the base to be the same height as 1 this way, so I'm doing my best to make sure that 1 matches that one. And close enough. And then in this one, I need to make a height of 1/3, so then I need to divvy this up. That doesn't look too bad. So there's my 1/3 right there. So my answer is the region here that measures 1.5 for the base and 1/3 for the height, which gives me this rectangle right here. Now, to figure out what that answer is, I kind of need to draw a few other lines here. So I'm going to sneak in with a green pen and draw this height of 1 all the way across. I'm going to draw this base of 2 all the way across. And then from this 1, I'm going to draw that in 2 for the moment. And the reason I'm doing that is I need to know what is 1 hole. So this is what a hole looks like. And this is what my answer looks like. Shade that in red. This is my answer. So what part of a hole do I have there? And I think I need to do a little more cutting to figure this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this half up that way. I'm going to make another half in between here to be consistent. And I'm going to let this third come across that way and that way. And when I cut all of the halves and the thirds this way, I can just make a note to myself. There are 6 pieces in a whole. Oops. And I have 1, 2, 3 in mine here. So then what it looks like is 1.5 times 1/3 is equal to 3, 6, right? Because there are 1, 2, 3 of those equal sized pieces out of the 6 I expect to see in a whole. So 3/6 is one version of that answer. Now I can take it a little farther by redrawing my result in a whole. So I can do a little rebuild here if I think I can reduce that. So I'm going to draw a hole here. And that hole had halves drawn that way and thirds this way. And there's lots of ways I can take these 3 pieces and slap them in there. And I could kind of play around with it, right? I could just, the highlighter, I could put 1 there and 1 here and 1 there. I'm not sure if that does me any good. Maybe I could put there, there, and there. Oh, that kind of looks like it's half of the whole. Maybe I'll do it this way. Maybe I'll just stack them on top of each other. Oh yeah, there it is. So it looks like when I redraw it, I can also say, hey, this is 1/2 of the whole. To confirm the relationship between those two, when I'm thinking about that half, what I'm saying is there's a group of 3 here, that's my answer, and there are 2 groups of 3 in the whole, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm grouping by 3, and grouping by 3 is division. So over here, calculation-wise, right, so I'm just kind of illustrating, playing with toys, I could say, well, if you group by 3, top and bottom, that's how you can get the 1/2. So what's the point of these pictures and these toys? You guys already know the mechanics of doing this. What I'm trying to get at is why the heck do those operations work? Why do those give us the right answers? Well, a couple of reasons. One, what is multiplication? Multiplication is an area. Area is base times height. That's one reason. Other reason, a fraction is an equal part of a whole. Those 2 things together explain why it has to work this way. So because of what area means, and multiplication is an area, and a fraction is an equal part of a whole, 1.5 times 1/3 has to be 1/2, or 3/6. Either way is okay. Questions. So this one took me 2 stages to come up with the answers. Some of these, like the first one, is a 1-stage drawing keeping my answer, but sometimes it's a little more complicated and I got to rethink what I drew there. Question on this multiplication area with fractions. Okay, so there's no questions. That means there really are questions. And so I'm going to have you guys group up again and do another one of these. So let's see. Let's do C. So part C of part 2 says, what is 2/3 times 1/4? And so I'm going to have you guys break out into a group. This is going to be a little harder to do because I don't have an app to use. So you're going to have to write stuff down on your own and just talk about it. But what you need to have is an area. That area always has to show what a whole looks like so you can figure out what part of the whole your area is. Okay, so 2/3 times 1/4 as an area. Let's break into groups.